Hello, and welcome to another episode of playing Crusader Kings 3 on the hardest possible rule set, most difficult rule set possible, starting as a custom character in China in 1066. So I think we're getting closer to the end of our campaign here. I talked earlier about what I really enjoy about this rule set is the challenge. And once the challenge is gone, I tend to think it's time to move on to another campaign. And what I really want to do in terms of my quote-unquote win condition for each campaign is to become indisputably the most powerful ruler in the world. We took some steps toward that last episode. Our character was able to become the son of heaven, seize the hegemony of China. We also fought a war against Hindustan, who attacked us. Hindustan looks like the most powerful nation in the world. You can see that their realm is absolutely huge. They seem to have more soldiers than anyone else I can see. And even though the battle was a bit shambolic, I raised a bunch of armies, men at arms, but somehow our army did not have a commander. Even so, when there was a battle between us and Hindustan, our leaderless army having a -50 advantage, so meaning the enemy was doing 250% more damage to us, we still managed to stack wipe Hindustan's armies. I can only imagine that next time we fight them, and we actually do have a general commanding our armies, we will do even better. For now, what we are doing is trying to complete a coronation oath to ensure peace. We have about 4.5 years left. It was the oath timer was reset when Hindustan attacked us. We're currently playing as this character. We have a very strong heir whenever he dies. Unfortunately, right after uniting China, our character came down with cancer, caused him to have a poor health now. We don't have the know thyself trait, so it's possible that he could die at any time. I've talked before about I'm not really much of a role player, but I do think playing on this hardest possible rule set does generate some good stories. Here we have a character who his entire life knew that the Song dynasty was doomed. He prepared for that day to be able to reunite China under more effective rule, namely his. He finally achieves his lifetime goal and then comes down with cancer, and will only get a few years to enjoy that most likely. While the ensure peace timer runs, we're going to take some activities here, starting with a grand tour. As you can see, we're making quite a bit of gold, so I think we'll do a majesty tour, which gives us renown as well as prestige. But speaking of things you can do with prestige, what I want to do first is to hybridize our culture. Specifically, I want to hybridize our culture with a culture that has mystical ancestors. You should probably overhear me talk. I really like landing family members, particularly members of my house. I also really like renown, and so the combination of those two things makes mystical ancestors one of my favorite cultural traditions. See, it also gives +10 dynasty opinion, which goes back to what I've talked about, that landing members of your own dynasty often gives you plus opinion that you would not get by landing other people. So when we form this hybrid culture, it's going to be very heavily weighted toward the Chinese side. I think we'll have to go from ceremonious to stoic, even though it's not ideal. And for our traditions, what we basically want is all these standard Chinese traditions down here, which is to say these 6. I guess we could be more specific and say Han traditions. So of those 6 Han traditions and mystical ancestors, that gives us the max of 7 cultural traditions that we can use. See that all of our vassals will convert. Just make sure nothing Strange is going on. Okay, that all looks good. Pillars, I want to stay with Chinese heritage and language, so we have to change the ethos to stoic. That just sort of is what it is. Do get a bit of a defender holding advantage, but otherwise I'd rather be ceremonious, but you have to make the change to the game rules. Here looks like virtually everything stays the same. Usually I combine them when I can, otherwise just go with the original culture, which is Han here. That all looks good. Let's take another look just to make sure nothing strange is happening. Always good to do a double check on these things because it is an important decision. There we go. Now when I land my house members, I will get renown, which significantly increase the power of our dynasty. If I get up to 20,000 prestige, which I believe is what I would need to change the ethos, that I might do that. Let's go back to our culture and take a look. Yeah, it's going to be 20,000. I talked before about how I like bureaucratic. Gives lifestyle experience, cultural fascination, development growth, all very strong things. Also, in terms of your court type, bureaucratic allows you to be either administrative or warlike. Those are also my two favorite court types. Administrative when you're at peace and trying to build up your realm, and warlike, of course, when you're going to war. Now that we have done that, let's go on the grand tour I was talking about to begin with. I have surprisingly few vassals I can visit. They're probably all engaging in activities. I guess that's not too surprising. I talked before about how, because we are playing on a very hard rule set, the AI gets more gold, and activities are also cheaper for the AI, which means that they tend to hold a lot of activities. I do want some more prestige just in case we can get up to 20,000 to reform the culture. I think with 9 stops we'll max out the success of our tour, so don't need to worry about that. Doesn't look like we're facing any danger. Guess we could get some mountaineers just to be on the safe side, but shouldn't be necessary. See if we can speed up our travels. We cannot that way. Might as well get some mercenary guards. I think this is overkill, but again, we have a very strong treasury, so I'm okay doing it. And here we go. And again, really looking for activities that give us renown, as well as prestige, but primarily renown. Generally, I give my artisans whatever they need to try to get the best artifacts possible. One issue here is that our domain really is spread out. I would really want to consolidate it in a concentrated geographic area, but I don't know that I'll have an opportunity to do that. What I would like to do in particular is take the Kaifeng Imperial Palace down here, take that duchy. But the issue is that this duchy is currently held by my rival, who simply will not let me revoke his title. Playing on very hard, this is another consequence, which is your vassals are far less likely to let their titles be revoked, unless they're in prison, of course. This is the grand campaign we started in the last episode. Speaking of prison, we also can't imprison him, so we'll stop worrying about that for now and move on. Maybe our next character, who will not be that man's rival, will be able to take it. So normally I almost always take the pet dog, and I think I will here. We're not going to try to extend this character's life. We have an extremely strong heir, 3 virtuous traits, exalted warlord, just incredibly powerful. So we do want to take over as him relatively promptly. Take the now, do I need the cultural acceptance? I would assume they're already at 100%. Yeah. So because normally I take the cultural acceptance here, but because cultural acceptance is at literally 100%, we'll take the second option. Try to save a bit of money, but we do not. Yeah, I'll take courtiers when offered. Take the stress loss and increase the majesty. Usually just trust their judgment on this unless I'm really looking for something particular. Here we've maxed out all our amenities. Our court grandeur should eventually get above 10, but it'll take time to do that. So tribute, getting renown and prestige. So that's what we want on this trip. Guess we'll take the prestige because again we're maxed out in terms of cultural acceptance. Could shape the dynastic cycle, but it's only 90 in detention. Let's see. So I guess we could go ahead and do this. We will want to push away tension. Want to stay in our stable expansion era for as long as we can. So normally I go with this middle option. It's extremely powerful to have monthly lifestyle experience. Our character is likely to die soon, though we don't know when. But I think I'll still go with the middle option just because I like it so much. Don't really like the opinion loss with 64 vassals. So I guess probably won't do that. Bountiful Harvest is not terribly useful. This guy's already at plus 100. I guess we'll take the middle option here. One of our artisans made a very good sword. We already have a quite good weapon. In my opinion, it's really sort of a toss-up. Guess we'll go with this one, which is more flexible. This has the advantage over the other one, so long as we're not in the floodplains. So we'll make the switch. Continue on with our grand tour. I think I'll just skip on the window taxes here to avoid stress. Window tax is also very difficult to get anyway. Let's look at our scattered realm and continue to upgrade economic buildings. Obviously we have a good bit of gold, but we could always use more. Don't really know how long we'll keep this particular set of domain counties, but we will might as well upgrade them. They'll benefit us regardless. Here generally don't commit adultery, and it can lead to secrets and hooks and potentially people causing you to lose a level of devotion. Always will want tribute. Avoid getting stress, and also an almost certain loss that would wound us and really make our character's demise imminent. Scientific will be useful. Speaking of which, we should see exactly what innovation we are researching. So in the high medieval era, and we have really research virtually everything. So I have to hand it to my predecessors. They are almost completely caught up. So probably the consequence of starting as China, which is very advanced, and then being in the advancement phase of the dynastic cycle, which gives bonuses to various things, including, I believe, cultural fascinations and the rate at which you research technology. So again, we're in very strong shape here. Take the intrigue increase. So we're in the expansion movement. We're in the expansion era. We want to be in the expansion era. So we really want either expansion or the pro-Xiong movements to be in power. Don't want to do anything that would move us toward tension, which would be the case if the conservative or advancement movements were in power, since the only way we could be in the advancement era is if we go through a period of tension, and we don't want that. Here, since they both give a little bit of stress, we'll just go with the top one. So we'll start going through this tree. Particularly want absolute control for the domain limit. We can give him this useless trinket. So this is a relatively annoying event. Don't want all the stress from the bottom option, but usually if you pick the top option, it means that someone tries to rob you. And that is, of course, what happened here. Everything gives us stress. Guess we have enough gold that will be generous. If we were tight on gold, I definitely would not have picked that option. Go back to continuing to improve our domain, scattered as it is. Should note one thing here, which is we are playing on total exclave independence, which means that whenever my character dies, any lands that are not connected by land or sea will become independent. So this little bit of land here is going to become independent. We're going to lose it. I think not a big deal. The plan will be to reconquer it later. For this option, chances of picking this top one is stressful. You also lose a lot of gold potentially, so I usually just go with the bottom one, so basically ignore that event. So definitely want to pick the top one here, get that renown. Usually I just go with the bottom one here. Not particularly interested in the mystery. I think it involves the mysterious puzzle and mysterious lamp stuff, which one of these days I'll try to collect all those and take that decision, but as for now I don't really need it. Looks like the bottom one gives better options. Yes. improving our domain. I also want to take a look at what our circuits and other vassals, what they are assigned to. The ones with the most armies, I think let's change him to military, except we have reached the military limit. Fair enough. We will then look at the ones with income, and we'll turn the ones with the highest income into industrial. This is a bit of min-maxing here. That does help us. We want most gold we can get. Never a bad thing to have more gold. And much like military provinces, there is a limit on how many industrial provinces you can have. And once we hit that, we'll stop this and move on to something else. Guess we have hit it. Do want to look at, for armies here, another option that we have is the protectorate. Looks like that requires kingdom level. Sure that we have any kingdom level tiles we could do. That does remind me of the titles we can create. Let's go ahead and create these titles. We will, of course, hold them. I sort of thought there would be more king level titles here, but perhaps I'm already holding mostly king level titles in China. I'm guessing that is true. One of the things that's a bit unfortunate is both empire and kingdom level titles are referred to as these guos. But you can see we are holding a very large number of king level titles. I think for now we'll just keep doing that. If we start getting close to our vassal limit, then we'll start handing out the king titles. One thing to note is that the celestial government, unlike the administrative government, does not have a huge increase in vassal limit. For administrative government, I think you start at 100 and then get plus 100 for each level of authority you go up in terms of your vassal limit. For celestial, I think you have a base of 100, and that's really just it. Okay, so we will go with the expansion movement again. That'll be the last piece of tech for a while. I don't think there's anything we can do to research the late medieval tech. Oh, huh, interesting. Maybe we can. Well, I guess we might as well start researching if possible, even though it's very slow. You know, a little bit of a jump is better than nothing. I think I'll just take the piety here. It's a good grandson. We'll see if we can. There is a young Herculean woman like that one. Let's check on our heir to see if he has had any male children. He's not. He is ill. Still in okay health. Hopefully he doesn't die. Even if he does die, we have 3 other sons that are all generally good, though none of them became exalted warlord as a part of their education. They're not as good as our current chosen heir. Generally, don't bother with those flasks. I do want, leave her now. Take this middle option to avoid spending gold. Curious how many concubines we have. Almost 20. Take this option to avoid stress. Generally, I try not to stress out my characters. You know, it just can lead to multiple stress breaks and getting some quite negative traits. We'll go with windmills here. Windmills are very good in terms of generating more gold. There's certainly an argument that we don't really need more gold at the moment, and so that's a reasonable argument, but I'd rather have more gold, and perhaps when we've settled on exactly where our domain will be, we can take a look at some of the less efficient gold making buildings like the cattle pastures or the hunting grounds, and replace those buildings with the better military buildings, particularly military buildings that support our current military. This one, again, really don't like taking the top option. It's a lot of gold, but I guess we'll do it. If I was short on gold, I would just take the bottom one, and that would be that. Talked before about I often seem to get negative results from picking one of the top 2 options, so I don't do that. This is very good. We'll always want our Palisarasons to go on adventures and hopefully bring back unique artifacts, which can be extremely powerful. Again, go with the piety. Looks like our sensors finding secrets for us, which is good. The monthly income is quite useful. I think we have a journal that's helping with our martial lifestyle experience. I think we'll keep that for now. But it is good to have that stewardship journal. Let's go with this bottom option to avoid stress. Again, here you almost always want to go with the top option, something truly unique. You can get unique artifacts that way. That would be extremely powerful. You do have to have a master or legendary artisan for that, but so you don't always have it available, but it is available. I always take it. Interesting. When I'm holding some scattered realms, unless I do have some powerful, unique buildings, at least some of them. So this I normally tear down just to avoid the development growth penalty. That's what I'll do here. We are going to be skirting around some plague, which if we catch any plague, that may be the end of this character. Looks like holy fire, only a minor plague. There is an apocalyptic smallpox plague in most of Italy and some of Byzantium, Greece. So certainly could have many worse plagues. We are on a Doomsday level of plagues as part of playing on the hardest possible difficulty level. So I'm mildly surprised there are only 2 plagues in the entire world. All these mercenary contracts are for people we hired when we were attacked in the last episode by Hindustan, which is a war that went very well for us and incredibly poorly for them. Go with Room to Rule here. The other main option is Thoughtful. If Thoughtful is the conservative choice in the sense that if you're having any vassal problems, Thoughtful is one of the most powerful perks you can possibly have, so long as you have some gold. Really increases your vassal's opinion very quickly and gets them to drop out of factions. But we don't have, obviously we don't have any faction problems at all, really. So nothing to worry about. Certainly not that option, but almost certainly the middle option here. So, Champions, who's a good military character. I mean, it's got a successful result. This, you usually get a negative event, not a serious one, but a somewhat minor negative event, so I usually still avoid it. Go for improve our buildings again. Other option here is water management, but I think we'll go with windmills first. But water management is itself just extremely powerful, very worthwhile in terms of building. Certainly in China, you'll have more buildings you want to build than available slots. So we'll go with the top one because there's a pretty high chance I get wounded in the bottom one, and I think if this character gets wounded, he's already in poor health, he's probably just going to die. So playing on this hardest possible rule set, there's nothing that prevents me from intentionally trying to kill off my characters, but I generally don't unless I have a very strong reason to do so. Sometimes if the next character will be able to take the strength and blood decision, then it's tempting enough to get me to off my current character, so long as I think the succession will be stable. Talked before about I don't like bringing in people who are change my religion. It just creates instability, likelihood of more factions and rebellions. Stewardship perk. Here again, this is very valuable. It gives you monthly lifestyle experience. Though again, for this character, not clear how long he will be able to take advantage of that. Probably be another campaign where we end the series before we get an opportunity to strengthen the bloodline. Eventually we'll play where that does become something we do. Might not happen until we go to the 867 start date. This one I'm just sufficiently annoyed by this peasant that we're going to take the risk here. Probably should have gone prepared conscription first there, but either way. Got our nice magnificent liege modifier, got plenty of renown. Finish our tour. We'll take a look at how close we are to fulfilling our oath. It's about 2.5 years, a little bit more. So it's still going to be a while. Not sure we do not need anymore. Could do some great projects, but I think I'm going to be leaving that to my heir. What I will do is local examination. We'll put it on max level to get as much legitimacy as we can. We'll also go favoritism. I talked before about favoritism gives you renown, which is a huge benefit. So we will do that. Proceed. Up, that's a concubine, so certainly we will just throw her out of our bed, get rid of her. Don't want to get lover's box. Assume this is still the expansion movement. Yes, okay. So happy to keep the expansion movement as the favored movement. That's a bit strange that we lost. My patience would indeed run low. But we'll move on. Talked about before, I generally do want to pin my potential heirs because of the way that China works. I generally do not pin my daughters, but I do pin all my sons. Don't want our vassals to be a palace artisan because they seem not to actually do anything. We do want landed courtiers to be there. We'll just try to send them all on adventures, even though some of them are not as well suited to it as others. Build more buildings. Just make sure that our son and heir is in the best possible position when he does take over. If you're someone who is not as interested in the warfare part of CK3, China is a good place to play. They're off with, lots of activities you can do, especially when you become the Wang Di. You can pretty much always have some activity that you can go to that, the way the cooldowns work, by the time you cycle through all of them, the cooldown will be up on some more, and you can just keep proceeding from there. Here's the renown that we wanted. We'll go with this option since high chance to succeed. We did. It's somewhat interesting. Don't know that we are displaying that many books, so let's at least display a book. Sure, will help out our family member there. If you have the gold, you always want to be constructing buildings. It just makes you more powerful. There's no reason not to do it. Court grandeur rather slowly increasing. Here we'll go with the top one since higher quality versus slightly higher quality. The percentage chances are the same, both extremely high. See, for the local exam, we had about half the entrance failed. Compare that with the capital exam, where no one failed of a much larger population. So Winju is expansion. We will lose a little bit of our legitimacy, still at rank 7, but we want the expansion movement, which is what we're currently in, to continue to be the favored movement. Not sure why this says we don't want to add progress towards tension, so we will not consult heaven. Normally I would hold a grand tournament, but thinking that this, well, I think maybe he would at least able to participate in the wit events, so I think let's do that. So recital, board game, and then he should be able to at least bet on horse races. Normally I would go with more foot experience, as we talked about, so wrestling, duels, melees, but I'm assuming because my character has cancer and he's so old that he won't be able to participate in the athletically strenuous activities. Still says recreation. I don't have an option for triumph, so I don't know how well this will work. Maybe I'll just have to stand by and watch, but we're going to be maximizing our grand tournament here, so this will be our next activity. So it does look like we are competing in the recital, which is good. Gives us some opportunity to get some good artifacts. Really looking to maximize our score. Hear the sound of buildings being constructed. Truly, this will soon be him. I think we'll go with trying to get more renown. Always want more renown. More gold from our windmills. Again, you can really never have too much gold. We didn't get the renown from our attempt. We'll avoid stress. Probably go back to the temple to see. Okay, so this is an event I want to get and take this option. Again, this character probably won't live long enough to take advantage of it, but you get it when you're young. Obviously very powerful. Really helps you get through the perks. That for the positive advantages here, 99% chance, so certainly go with that. Just take the highest percentage chance one there as well. But he should win, and we did. bug there, but not how we do things regardless. Sometimes if you've already done a few temple events, it seems when you click on temple, just nothing happens. So we should probably go, instead of me clicking on temple every time I can, I'll start looking at tent camp or other things. Positive what they want us to do with that event, but we'll move on. Take this to avoid stress. Play our board game. Usually I disqualify people when they cheat. Let's see here. Go with this one. Usually I go with the top one to avoid stress, but there it actually causes me stress. Just depends on what your personality traits are. I think I will want to equip that. Partly simply because our next character is Marshall, and make sure that we have it for his benefit. And our current character is in the martial lifestyle as well. So it helps a bit. Not sure that I'll be doing any more wars here. So if the percentage chances were more even, I'd pick on the bottom two, but it's only 4 stress here for a 99% chance of success, so we'll go with that. The middle one here. Again, always want renown. I will cheat. Amount of stress gain is quite small. Okay. We win again. You can see that we're really doing quite well in terms of our income, and the treasury just keeps going up. Even when our treasurer resets the budget, usually causes this to our net monthly income to fall quite a bit, because then he reallocates it to vassals and salary. But after that, it just keeps going up, so it might drop to plus 200, but then come back up to plus 800. So everything going quite well here. Usually just go with this first option to avoid any negative events. Exact same event. It's like Europe. China somehow is full of martial women that you could find at tournaments. I guess he's fine. And we will. Okay, I'm surprised our qualifications are slipping. I guess if we don't qualify, then we don't qualify. For that last decision, I don't know if there's any difference among them. So they're similar here. We'll just pick the one that avoids stress. Here we should be able to do this quite easily. A 99% chance. Get some diplomacy experience. Looks like we had some sort of critical failure. Presumably we lost, but did get 2 victories in the other events, so hopefully we get some good stuff. Also, just by holding it, we get 225 renown, which is quite powerful. Get some good furniture. We are getting close to be able to reform our culture if we wanted to do that. Did not have any furniture before, so any furniture is good. Look at I guess a little bit of renown here, maybe worth it. Have the old seals from think about every dynasty. Okay, about a year left. Let's take the decisions to get us gold. I guess I could have trained for that tournament first, but probably would have just ended up wounded. Let's hold a feast for the prestige, but also to make our vassals like us more. Part of our vassals' opinions toward us will carry over to our son and heir, so we want them to think positively of us. Here, with this number of vassals, normally I just go with the top option instead of getting tyranny. And I have a smaller realm, and also usually if you have a smaller realm, you need the money more. I'll go with that middle option and just absorb the tyranny. Looks like my eldest son has holy fire. I think that's plague resistance. And my heir is still okay, but you never know. Quite sure this is the expansion guy, so we want the expansion movement to win. Still okay with our legitimacy is at max, that's all right. Bit of a risk here, but let's try it. Okay, another son that someone will educate. I'm guessing it won't be us. Depending on how long we live, if it gets up to 4, then it will become his ward. Thought I heard some sort of board event. Seems like sometimes you get the sound even when there's no event. Do another round of building here. Our character was initially stewardship, and he has completed the architect tree, so he's going to be a much more efficient builder than our next characters, who are all going to be martial and who probably won't have any stewardship perks. Because of our number of concubines, we're unlikely to have a lot of children from now on. If they're sons with good stats, then I'm interested in taking a look at them. Otherwise, probably not so much. Increase opinion. The way that screen popped up, I almost thought my character had died. Not yet. So we'll see how much he takes out of our personal treasury here. And again, he's redistributing it to our vassals, so that's fine. Okay, I think we'll go on a hunt. May need to be falcon. Oh no, I'll do the capital examination. Really want to hold the capital examinations as frequently as you can, since that's something only you can do, and you want to have your administrators be able to obtain as much merit as possible. Once this is done, we should be able to ensure peace. And then, once again, my character, nicknamed the Peaceful, will be going to war. Assuming he's still alive, which could be a very dicey assumption given he has, lived almost 5 years now, probably over 5 years now with cancer. Okay, chances of him being alive, really not good. So, not sure if that him being near death was caused because he got a beneficial treatment from the physician when he first got cancer. And that beneficial modifier has now worn off, or for some other reason. But obviously, it looks like his death is imminent. Okay, and we'd be moving on to our next son, but instead what happened is the beneficial modifier from the treatment had worn off. We'll see if we can get another one. Did reduce disease symptoms, so might still be alive for a bit longer. Talked about why I make that decision a couple times now, so I won't explain it again. Thought of heart, I normally try to minimize my character stress, so that's consistent with how I normally do, but I think it does mean that his health gets a bit worse, so comes even closer to death. Definitely want to take this decision now. See every realm county, development growth increased by 250. Get an extra domain limit, even though we don't need it, so just an extremely powerful decision. As soon as we come out of this capital examination, we'll take a look at reclaiming some territory from Hindustan, or maybe we leave that to our heir. I usually go with this second option. Don't really want to disasters. Normally, your vassals will take care of them. So they don't really require you to be focused 100% on them. Rather do other stuff. So I do not want to decrease my authority. If anything, I want to do the exact opposite. I can't yet, but we're very close. Something I need to remember. So I will, of course, just refuse that request. Lose any stress to the extent I have any there. Giving this person an advantage. Again, want people to get more merit, and so I have as wide as possible selection of possible governors. Yep, expansion. Want to stay expansion, as we've talked about a few times. Just to say, keep expansion as the favorite movement. Build some more buildings here. Just focusing on lower level economic buildings. You'll bring them up. Fortunately, the lower the level of the building, the more cost effective it is to spend gold to bring it to the next level. That is to say, going from level 1 to 2, much more efficient than going from level 7 to 8 for a building. Here, don't want everyone to lose merit, so I will lose a little bit of prestige. Talking about prestige, we will reform our culture. Instead of going stoic, we'll go bureaucratic, even though it will take a ridiculously long amount of time. We will go ahead and do that and continue on. So you see there our vassals handled that natural disaster. No reason for me to get involved. Usually I just go with the second option here, maximize merit people get. Again, no reason to be a jerk. Give this guy more merit. Same thing here, even though there's not really much benefit of this thing. Give the guy who made it some merit. Well, okay. So just before we complete our capital examination, our character died. We are not going to be choosing a new dynasty. We are going to be proceeding with our excellent heir. Let's see here what it says about our prior character and now our new one. But since we'll be going to a new character, this is an excellent place to stop. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you join us for the next one. Probably be 2 more episodes, I think. Maybe 3. I do want to take on Hindustan a couple times, but after I've beaten up on them, that'll probably be the end of the series. So hope to see you again. Thanks. Bye.